Hello my dear artists and creatives. Today I'll be telling you why I stopped watching TV and movies and series. Yes, I did. I stopped watching in 10th grade once and for all. I'm alive and well, and I do have other things I do in my time. Don't worry, I'm not utterly bored. The first reason I felt repelled by movies and series is because of their heavy stereotyping. So cultural stereotyping is a big one. In many movies, I see very annoying repetitions of stereotyping Russians as being alcoholic cheaters, Arabs as being regressive camel riders living in the desert, and blonde women as being promiscuous or dumb. It is wrong to think of people in this way. It is wrong to simply guess people's lifestyles and personalities based on their countries of origin or appearances. Physical appearance, excluding clothing, is something people do not choose. This is why I do not agree with vast generalizations. I also discovered that the things I used to watch affected my social interactions. Each time I would meet somebody from a certain country, I would automatically have an impression or an expectation of how they live and act. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has been fed stereotypes. I also noted how in many movies, certain races and skin colors are often the ones criminalized. This is just what I have seen. Let me know if you agree. One may argue that if movies do feed us stereotypes, we do not need to foster or believe any of these stereotypes. But I say that we're social creatures and we learn from our experiences. This is partly why we are so interested in stories. It's because stories somehow add to our experiences and help us deal with the world more efficiently later on. So there's no way to not somehow absorb stereotypes handed to us by movies. Also, let's keep in mind when we are watching TV, we are in our relaxation mode. So we do not filter all the information and say, should I believe this piece of info or not? Instead, we mindlessly watch and absorb the info like sponges. Since we're just rewinding at the end of the day, after school, after uni, after work, or a long day, and we're tired, we simply do not have the energy to filter all the info through our logic gate. It all goes in. I just want to pause for a second to ask you to subscribe to help me grow my channel. 2. Agendas are being forced. I noticed that while I used to consume what the masses were consuming, I was strangely adopting ideologies and beliefs that weren't really mine. Let me give you a little bit of background here. I was raised in a conservative Muslim culture, and therefore I was always used to dressing modest and classy. Although gradually, as I increasingly consumed movies and series, I was weirdly starting to feel negatively about dressing and acting modest. And instead, I was convinced I should show skin and act open. Influence of TV. Other agendas I noticed are being pushed onto people. And quick note here, I will not mention if I'm with or against the following ideas, so please don't assume my stance on any of the following ideas. But I did notice a lot of gay, bi, lesbian things being promoted through mainstream cinema. I noticed mental illnesses being celebrated. I noticed mean, selfish, narcissistic main characters being glorified. Also, I'm noticing the feminist narrative being pushed heavily, as well as the trans thingy being advertised to viewers and to children, and men being demonized in certain movies and series such as The Handmaid's Tale. The hookup culture is being normalized, all while traditional family structures and values are being shunned or given a bad, almost primitive / outdated impression of. Ouch. Last Valentine's, I did go to cinema for once and ended up watching Uncharted. I was shocked at the huge leap cinema took in regards to the feminist ideology. I remember exactly what was being advertised 6 years ago. Normal equality was being promoted. But now when I went back to cinema, they've moved on to extreme, radical feminism. The new things being showed are that men are inferior and they're bad and should back down. What happened to equality? What I saw is certainly not normal, and I'm sure that this way of portraying this is really going to confuse future generations. So here's what I said. Goodbye movies and goodbye ideas and agendas I did not ask to be taught. My third reason for quitting movies and series is what a waste of time. Movies are time consuming, But this isn't the problem. Books are time-consuming too, but at least with books, one can practice their speed reading skill, can stimulate their creativity, practice patience, learn new words, grammar. And with reading, people can exercise their brain and ability to concentrate. With movies, we lay, and the information is simply being poured into our ears, eyes, and brains without us putting much intellectual or creative effort to understand what is being shown. And the truth is that it does take time to complete a movie. Furthermore, after watching a movie, I cannot just go back to my normal life for at least a few hours. A series is even more time-consuming. And if you've ever tried watching a series, you can surely relate. It's not doable to just watch one episode. We usually end up watching one more, and one more, and suddenly we realize we haven't gotten much done the entire weekend. Oh no. My reason 4 is watching too many movies and series drains us of our creativity and reduces our ability of activating our creativity for our art. So bringing up the topic of reading, with reading, one can translate words into their 6 senses. I could read a description of a fantasy elf world, and I would use my imagination to stir up the elf world. In my head, I would imagine the colors, architecture, the smells, the sounds, how the trees would look like, and more. This is perfect because it helps me practice my creativity, and thus it helps with my art. On the other hand, movies and series hand us everything on a plate. Everything is pre-made and pre-imagined for us. And we do not get the opportunity to fill in the blanks or to use our imagination and creativity that much. If you're enjoying this topic so far, like this video to let me know. Reason 5. Movies make life feel boring in comparison. Movies make life feel humdrum and slow because movies and series are overly stimulating. People are exposed to all kinds of emotions in cinema within a short span of 2 to 3 hours. Additionally, movie characters go through so much action and fails and wins within a short span. Real life just isn't a movie. Things don't move so quick and things take time, but each time after watching movies, people may say to themselves, why isn't my life such a blast of events and emotions? This thought isn't a productive thought because it makes us stop feeling grateful for our life and the things we're blessed to have. Once I stopped watching movies, I actually started going out and seeking to live and have some drama and action. Mindless eating. I don't think any of us watch movies or series without snacking. It's just not that fun without the tasty snacks and drinks. The issue is some people find themselves eating far more unhealthy foods while watching just because they are distracted, and so they may end up gaining weight. In addition to that, most quick snacks aren't actually filling or satisfying. Instead, they spike blood sugar quick, only to have it crashing down, causing us to feel hungry just a while later. Another dimension of mindless eating is a big part of our satiation in regards to eating comes from looking at our food, observing it, and really taking the time to see the color, the texture, enjoying the smell, and the flavor. This gives us emotional satisfaction. However, with mindless eating, we do not get to fully experience food, thereby leaving this little gap in our brains where our mind isn't convinced yet that it has enjoyed food. So this might cause us to look for more snacks later and may overeat. I actually had a phase where I was gaining weight because I constantly felt hungry and not satisfied enough from any of my meals, even though I was eating really very healthy. Adequate calories, enough protein and fat. It was confusing to me and made 0 sense until I read online that emotional hunger could be the sneaky cause. Being distracted during meals and not giving my food enough attention, it was causing the hunger issue. If you'd like to learn more about how I improved my day-to-day life, you could watch my video called I Quit Coffee for 21 Months, Former Caffeine Addict. I will leave the video in the end of this video, plus you can find the link in the description down below. That video might as well just change your life. Reason 7. Movies and series are addicting. Watching eventually becomes a habit, and instead of reading or working out or cooking, or drawing to relieve stress and relax, and in our leisure hours, we may just end up watching movies way more often than planned, and then is useful, and it can really hinder progress, learning, and hobbies. If watching series was not even an option, I bet you would give far more time into productive habits like reading and taking walks outside. Just a little break to tell you, I'm an artist and I'm currently open for art commissions. I'm a 5-star art seller on Fiverr. I left the link in the description in case you're interested to purchase custom high-quality art. Reason 8 for avoiding watching, it takes from our mental capacity as well. Watching movies and series, TV, news really takes up from our mental space. TV, television. Television. Interesting. When watching a series, you may find yourself thinking about it through the day, wondering what will happen next, eager to go back to watching and thinking about the problems that need to be solved in the story. If people did not watch so much, probably their headspace would be instead filled with their own problems that need fixing. The cool thing about our brains is it is constantly thinking about issues and subconsciously solving them. So if you personally have a bunch of problems floating around, you'll be thinking about these problems while bathing, sleeping, going about your day, and your brain will end up straightening out those problems for you. But what good is this function of our brains if our brains are actually solving problems that aren't ours, aren't real, or do not directly or indirectly affect us? Why think of problems we do not even have any control over, such as what will happen to Elena from the Vampire Diaries after finding out her brother died? Oh my. Reason 9 is I avoid watching movies because nowadays movies are full of vulgar content, offensive language, and are becoming overly sexualized. And honestly, I'd like to keep my purity. Modern movies are romanticizing cheating, relationships outside of wedlock, premature relationships, drinking, drug use, and encourage all kinds of bad behavior, really. Reason 10, unrealistic expectations. Oh yes, movies and series were giving me tons and tons of unrealistic expectations about how I should look and be like, how my life should look and be like, and even how my friends should look and act like. Because of movies, I struggled the most with unrealistic expectations surrounding potential romantic partners. I never found anyone good enough, all thanks to perfect movie characters. When I would see characters on TV, I would get depressed and say, why are real life guys boring and ugly? And I would expect to meet someone like in the movies. Also, I thought my friends weren't fun enough, but when I stopped watching movies, I actually regained my attraction to normal people. Now, these 10 reasons are definitely not me trying to convince you to never ever watch movies. Again, movies are really fun. I still watch movies with my friends, and I believe watching movies and series can totally be not hindering in some cases. Usually I like to watch movies as a social activity, to bond with friends and to celebrate holidays, although it's not a habit of mine, and I make sure it doesn't become a habit by making sure I don't start to watch movies on my own. Movies can be a very fun activity and can be inspirational for art. It just depends how and when and for what purpose and what types of movies people decide to watch. If you want more healthy habits to increase your productivity, I recommend watching my video called "These Habits Will Make You Productive Fast." I will link it in the end.